A, there's form B, there's form C. Okay. So on today's paper, this is 106. This is the beginning of circles. So for 106, there's 2 chapters left. We have circles, which is like approximately 3 weeks long. Okay. Kind of long. It's kind of treacherous. It's kind of long. We will take a test on that one. The last chapter is 3-dimensional shapes. That one, we will skip the test for. So we're not going to take the test on 3D shapes. We'll just go straight into like EOC review. So yesterday, while you guys were all shadowing, I was really at work. I was like all day. I got an extra shot in my coffee, espresso, and made like a 15-page review for the EOC, and it's still not done. Yeah. So we're going to start with a middle school review. So going back to middle school, let's talk about some circles. Does anybody remember how to find the area of a circle? Something with pi. Well, good thing you don't have to remember it. Look at your blue sheet. Fabio, stop talking to him. Yes, yes. On your blue sheet, it says circle. There's 3 formulas. There's C equals 2 pi r. There's C equals pi d. Does anybody know what the C stands for? Circumference. And if you don't know that, there is a key that tells you circumference is for C. So you have your key, here's your circles. So we're using the area formula because it asks to find area. So area is pi r squared. So let's start with area. So my radius is 12. So area is pi r squared. So I'm doing 12 squared technically first, and then pi. So 12 squared is what? 144. So in geometry in high school, they could leave the answer like this. This means in terms of pi. Okay, so pi is left alone. You don't actually multiply them. It's kind of like a variable like x. If it wants you to round to the nearest tenth, we're going to use the pi button. So there's technically 2 answers we're going to put today. We're going to put the one with the pi, and then we're also going to multiply by pi button. So if we do 144 in the calculator, we multiply by pi button. Pi button is above exp. So notice it right there. So we're going to shift exp. And you'll see 3.14159, blah, 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 press equals. So I get 452 point, and we'll round to the nearest tenth. 452 point. So both of those are technically the correct answers. Do we remember this from middle school? No. I feel like this may have been like taught in elementary school. Like area of circles. No. You've done circles before. At some point. You do 144 times shift exp. So exp down at the bottom, if you look above it, is the pi button. Oh. So then you press equals. Okay. Okay, so let's do it again. So pi r squared. Radius now is 10. So I'm doing 10 squared. What's 10 squared? 100. So 100 pi is in terms of pi answer. If I want to round it to the decimal, I'm doing 100 times pi button. Which is how much? Um, 314.2. If you have 3.14, you need to press equals. Oh, okay, just right around. Yeah, because it's really just pi, just they move the decimal twice. This is multiplied by 100. Okay, so what's different about number 3? It has the whole thing. So how much is the radius if the whole thing is 4? The whole thing's 4, so how much is the radius? 2. So my radius is 2. So the diameter is the whole distance. So the diameter is 4. If you get the diameter, then you have to multiply or cut it in half to represent the radius. So take a second, use your calculator. R squared times pi. What? Go again. 12.6. Okay. So that's from, I don't know, whenever you learn about circles, but moving on. Now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to work backwards. So it says determine the diameter, which is the whole distance of each circle. And I'm giving you the circle and I'm telling you the circle has a area of 6 pi. So I'm giving you the area. 9 pi. That's my dyslexia. I read it upside down. Okay, so area is pi r squared. Okay, I know the area. The area is 9, so I'm going to sub that in. What's on both sides that can just cancel out automatically? 9, or not 9, pi. So pi cancels out because it's on both sides. So I have 9 equals r squared. So how do I get r by itself instead of squared? Square root it. So if I take the square root of 9, what is actually my radius? Radius equals 3. That's not the answer because I want to know the diameter. So what would be the diameter? My radius is 3. What would be the diameter? 6. So you're just going to multiply it by 2. So your diameter is 6. Circle radius, but. So let's do it again. Same thing. I have 324. So I'm doing 324 equals pi r squared. What can I cross off on each side? Oh, I forgot. Like, I'm making mistakes today. Cross off my pi, so pi's cancel. So I'm left with 324 equals r squared. So what do? Square root it. So my radius is 18. How much is my diameter? 36. Because you multiply by 2. So take a second, try 6, 7, and 8. Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah. You don't have to write diameter. And you can condense steps. I'm showing like kind of like all the steps. You don't have to show everything. But honestly, you should be at the point where you kind of just like figure it out without really writing everything. Maybe not. Yeah. Okay, so for 6, what's your radius end up being? What's your radius? R is 15, so what's my diameter? So diameter is 30. This one, what's my radius? 14, so what's my diameter? 8. And then my radius for this one's 9, so diameter is 18. Okay, nice. So this is a review from some point in middle school. You should have done area of circles, maybe not. You were supposed to. I don't know what grade. Does anybody remember what grade that is? 7th grade? I think it's 7th grade. Yeah, if you're a 9th grader, you would have did it in 7th grade. If you are 10th grader or 11th grader, then you would have did it in 8th grade. Because this is definitely a not for one. Okay. So let's go here. So for the rest of the problems, we're going to start geometry. Geometry is going to have more than one shape. Okay. So the idea is they can give you 2 types of problems. Fabio, stop talking to him. Can give you 2 types of problems. One is where you have a double shaded region. So if you read the directions, it says determine the area of the shaded region in each provided diagram unless otherwise stated otherwise. So if you have 2 pictures and you have a double shaded region, the idea is you're finding the area of just the shaded region. Okay. If not, then we're going to have to like read the directions. So anytime we have a double shaded, we're finding the area of the double shaded. So if I have a circle overlapping a circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of each circle. And then what do you think I'm going to do with them to find the shaded region if they're on top of each other. But I have to add them, divide them, subtract them, multiply them. Nope, not divide. Subtract. So because they're overlapping each other, I'm going to subtract their areas once I get them to find the difference between them. So let's go to number 6. I was going to do number 10, but let's do number 6. So we have 2 shapes. I have 2 circles. We're going to say one's the big circle, and then I have a small circle. We just did area. Area is pi r squared for circles. So let's talk about the big circle first. What's going to be the radius for the big circle? The big circle is the whole distance, the whole thing. 8. So you have 5. You also have 3 here. So the total is going to be 8. So for my big circle, I'm going to do pi with a radius of 8. So take a second. We're going to do 8 squared times pi. So what's my area for my big circle? 201.1. Yeah. For my small circle, same thing, but my radius is not 8. What's going to be my radius for my small circle? 5. So my radius for my small circle, I'm going to do the same thing, 5 squared, because it's just this piece, because the inside's the small one. So 25 times pi is how much? 0.5. And then what am I going to do with those 2 numbers? Subtract. So if you subtract and you accidentally get a negative number, it's not a big deal. It's just that being like as the positive number instead of the negative number, you just put them in the calculator wrong. So if I subtract these 2, let's see what we got. What do we end up getting? 122.6. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Try number 10 before we like make it hard. I want you to feel comfortable. We do something that's been blowing everybody's minds today. So try number 10. We still have circle and circle. Big circle minus small circle. Here's Zoe. Did you check that test the other day? Bring there. You want to start that? Yeah, no? What do you want to do next time? I just remembered. Okay, so what's my radius for my big circle? Not 6. You use 6, it's wrong. 4, because it tells you this entire length is 4, so you don't have to add them together. The small circle's radius should be what? 2. The last time we had to add them together, this one, it already gave me my whole length is 4. So you should have 16 times pi, which ends up being like 50.3. Is that correct? 2 times pi, well, squared times pi is like 12.6. And then if I subtract them, big minus small, 37 point what? 37.7. Is that correct? 58.3 minus 12. Yeah, 37.7. Okay. Not too bad. Let's move on to something good. Okay, so for number 1, I still have my shaded region. So the idea is I'm finding the area of just the shaded region, but I have 2 shapes. They're not circles anymore. I have a circle and what else? a square. So this is called inscribed. So last time I had a circle inscribed of a circle, which means like inside. This time the circle is inscribed of a square. So I'm still going to do circle, and I'm still going to do, I got to do my other shape, which is now a square. Okay. Do you want to find the area of this? Let's do the square first because the number's on the outside. A square has all congruent sides. If you look at your blue sheet, it does not tell you a square. In quadrilaterals, when we did all those weird shapes, it's a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a rectangle. A parallelogram is a square. A parallelogram is all those things. So we're just doing base times height, which is length times width, which you should kind of know already from like elementary school. So my base and my height are the same because it's a square. So you're just doing 18 times 18. So what's my area for my square? 324. And now for circle, my formula is still what we've been doing, pi r squared. Now my radius, question mark, goes from the center out to the side, right? Doesn't matter where like you draw it, but if I just draw it straight out to the side of my circle, what would be the radius? It's not 18, 9. Because if this whole distance is 18, if I split it in half right here, this same distance would be the radius. So my radius is going to be 9. So same thing, do 9 squared times pi. So I get like 254.5. And then what are we going to do with these? I just don't want to lose them. There's a lot going on my desk. So this one, you got to be careful. It's just big minus small. So 324 is more than 254.5. So if you accidentally get this like a negative number, it's just the positive number of that. So we get like 69.5. Yeah. Still not that bad, right? Not terrible. Let's switch it up a little bit. Okay. So number 2 does not have a shaded region. So we're not finding the area of the shaded region because there is no shaded region. It says a square is inscribed a circle. So the square is inside the circle. The area of the circle is 144 pi. I need to determine the area of the square. So I don't need to subtract them because I don't need the shaded region. I just need to find the area of the square. So to find the square, we still have 2 shapes. We have circle, we have square. Square, we're obviously going to do second because that's base times height, and or else like if I had that number, it would just be super easy. My circle is 144 pi. They're giving me the area for a reason. Area is pi r squared. I know the area is 144 pi. I'm going to solve for the radius. So what's on both sides that I can cross out? Pi. And then if I have a 44, 144 is r squared. How much is the radius technically? 12, because I take the square root. So my radius is 12. Now the catch is I can't draw my radius like I did over there because if I go from the center out to the side, I'm going to have this weird gap. So when I draw my radius, I need to go somewhere to the edge where both of them are meeting. So if I draw my radius here, they both meet right there. So my radius is 12. Okay. I need to find the base and the height or the length and the width of the square. That does not really help me because I need this distance. So to find this distance right here or the top or the side, because they're all the same, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in another radius because radius goes all the way around. So I also have a radius here, which is 12. I need to find that length of the square. Does anybody think they know how? Pythagorean theorem. It's back again. Because when we did rectangles and squares, specifically squares, when your diagonals intersect, they make the 90-degree angle. So you can find the side of the square by using 12 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So off to the side, we're going to do 12 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared because Pythagoras is back again. So if I square those, add them, I get 288. I have to shift square root. So the side of my triangle is how much? So it's like 16.97. So we'll say 17. So if the side of that is 17, that represents this in my shape. 17 is here. How much is the top of the square? 17. The other side 17. The bottom 17. So then I can do base times height, which is 17 times 17 because it's a square, to get the area of the square, which is how much? Two, 8, 9. Okay. How do we feel? You guys are like extra sleepy today. Okay, let's do it again. So 3 squares inscribed a circle. The circle has an area of 36 pi. Determine the area of the square. This one doesn't have a picture, so your squares inscribed a circle. So if you like when in doubt, if you want to draw a little picture, square is inside of a circle. Circle has an area of 36 pi.
What was the answer for square? Another one?
289.
289.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what am I going to do first? Let's use what we got. So the area is 36 pi. Let's find the radius. So area equals pi r squared. I'm taking 36 pi and I'm plugging it in. Your pi's can cross out. Find your radius. And then you're going to draw 2 radiuses inside your circle because that represents the legs of your Pythagorean theorem. So that's 6, and this is 6. So you should be doing the Pythagorean theorem. 6 squared plus 6 squared equals 6 squared. So you should get like 72 equals c squared. Shift square root. So that's 8.5. And then how do I find the area of the square? Base times height, which is, what's my base and my height going to be? 8.5. Which is like 72.3. And if it doesn't say what to round to, then like you're rounding to like the nearest whole number. So this would be like 72. So if it doesn't say round to the nearest 10th, round to the nearest 100, just round to your nearest whole number. Okay, let's do one more and then you guys can just like work on these. So number 4, now I have a square inscribed in a circle, just like before. The square is inside the circle. It's inscribed. It's inside. I have a shaded region. So this one has the extra step where I'm just going to subtract them in the end. Okay. So let's think about what we got. We need to find the circle. We need to find the square. This time I'm not given the area of the circle. This time I'm given 20. So do you think I should find the square first or the circle first? What's going to be easier? square. So square is just like base times height, so 20 times 20. So that, how much? 400. Okay, so square is done. The circle, I need the radius. 20 is not the radius. 10 is not the radius. So what could I do to find the radius? Anybody? So because I have 20 here, 20 is also here, I can find the diagonal. The diagonal represents a whole distance, okay? But I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem. So 20 squared plus 20 squared equals c squared. So it's like 800, right? Shift square root. So if I square root, I get 28.3. Now this is where like you need to be careful. So when you keep rounding throughout the problem, it just like kind of throws it off a little bit in the beginning, and then it throws it off a little bit more and a little bit more. So the more decimals you technically use, the better you're off you are. Now, if you need C, which is the whole diameter, 28.3 is like the whole distance, I need the radius. So instead of using like 28.3, what?
I know who it is.
Oh, okay. So 28.3. So we're gonna, if that represents the whole thing and I need the radius, what do I have to do? Divide by 2. Instead of rounding it and then dividing by 2, I'm just gonna divide by 2 because the whole thing's in my like decimal or like in the calculator. So divide by 2. So now I'm just gonna round it, because if you take this and you round it and then you cut it in half, then you're rounding it again, and then you're rounding it in the end and rounding it again, it's just gonna throw it off a lot. So I'm gonna say my radius is 14.1 because I'm dividing by 2. And then whenever I made my answer key, I kind of put like a bunch of, there should be like a range of answers, kind of like that are acceptable, but you should kind of want to get used to not rounding a million times. So for my radius is 14.1. So my circle formula is pi r squared. My radius is 14.1. So instead of clearing out my calculator, maybe I should probably just leave this huge decimal, and I'm squaring it. So I'm just going to put the square button, and then I'm going to multiply by pi. And that's what I mean by like, if you keep rounding it, it's going to throw it off a little bit more and a little bit more. So if you just keep the numbers in the calculator as you're going through it, it's going to round least as possible, especially like if you're rounding and then like it's a multiple choice question, then like you're not gonna be off by like 0.1, you're gonna be off by a little bit. So then what do I gotta do with these two numbers? Subtract. So while it's in my calculator, I'm just gonna minus 400. So if when you're doing these, you're slightly off, it's okay because you may have rounded. It's not a big deal. But just like try not to round. Just keep the numbers in the calculator instead of like pressing clear. Yes. Are you done? Oh, okay. Okay, so start working on those. You have what, 3, 4 problems? Let me know if you get stuck, because it's probably going to happen today. Probably going to get stuck. Ask for help.